I'm happy to have Kelly speak here tonight, and especially to our Vietnam veterans. Kelly.
Did you hit record?
We're good.
Okay. Hi everyone, thanks for having me. Bob has been harassing me for a couple years, asking me to do articles, and we play Scrabble online, and I always beat him. I just had to say that. So, as Bob said, my father was a Vietnam veteran. He did 2 tours. He was, unfortunately, also on a 365-day isolated tour, Johnston Island. So he really didn't have a chance. He was a loadmaster sergeant for the United States Air Force. When he wasn't doing those required duties, he was going on Viet Cong raids with the tanks that exterminators carry on their backs and spraying Agent Orange. He also broke out in rashes. 2 weeks ago, 31 years ago, 2 weeks ago, he turned 37 years old in his hospital room, and he died a month later, October 14th, 1982. He was a hero in Philadelphia, actually. He was a stakeout officer. You're probably familiar with the 1978 MOVE incident in Philly. My father was there. My father was shot, and he refused to be taken off the line. Actually, he wanted to help all the firefighters that were shot. My father, aside from James Ramp, was the only other officer that was shot, but it's not what killed him. Agent Orange did. I was 7 years old when he died. The last, I guess, 3-4 years of his life was basically me watching him in a wheelchair in hospital rooms and dying from, I guess, the time I was 4 to the time I was 7. So then there's me, born with all of these birth defects. Yes, I know, you would never know. I don't look sick, and I hear it all the time, and it's a problem that we have with our government. Because I don't look sick, they're going to, and they have, just say, well, she doesn't look sick. So, as Bob said, I do have Addison's disease. It's an endocrine disruptor, which is very common in second-generation Agent Orange exposure, Crohn's disease, congenital adrenal hyperplasia. It's another endocrine disruptor. I live in kidney failure. I've been living in kidney failure for so long that it doesn't even bother me. I have 32 illnesses. It sucks. And, you know, Bob knows, just last week I got over shingles for the 3rd time. Before I leave the house for events like this, I have to take antibiotics and antivirals because I usually end up getting sick. The last time was April. I went to another VETS meeting in Delaware Valley and ended up with pneumonia. So, I'm well medicated. You know, because of all of this, you know, you spend your life seeing what's going on in our country and around the world, because Agent Orange was not just used in Vietnam. And there's no services and support. In second generation for children of male Vietnam veterans, the only thing covered is spina bifida. Not even occulta. There are 3 types of spina bifida. However, if you are the children of, or the child of a female Vietnam veteran, there are 18 plus birth defects that are covered. So, how many men served in Vietnam? 2.8 million. How many women served in Vietnam? 8,000. So what they are saying is, if you are a woman and you stepped foot in Vietnam between this year and this year, don't quote me on it because I forget, we will cover you for said birth defects, including spina bifida, hip dysplasia, club foot, things like that, the common things that the Vietnamese come in contact with every day and are devastated from. But what they continue to say in the fine print on the VA's website is, we will not attribute this to herbicide exposure. Does that make sense to you? No. Okay? Doesn't make sense to me either. So, a couple years before I was born, Heather Bowser was born without a leg and without several fingers and without several toes. Her father was a Vietnam veteran. He died 15 years ago at the age of 50. her parents were the first or original Agent Orange activists in the 70s. I mean, to the point where, you know, the FBI had their phones tapped. So we come together and teach each other what it means not just to advocate for children of Vietnam veterans in the US, but to also advocate for support and services for the Vietnamese. Because let me tell you something, if the Vietnamese don't get anything, we're not going to get anything. Why? Because the Vietnamese are the ones who have the illnesses that we have to prove came from Agent Orange. Okay? So we decided we were going to form Children of Vietnam Veterans Health Alliance. It was the two of us. We've paid for everything out of our own pockets. We've incorporated, and actually just 2 weeks ago, we were able to file our federal paperwork to be a 501c3. We have a state nonprofit license right now in Ohio. And since January of 2012, a year and a half, we have been able to establish a membership base that we keep records on for second generation reported illnesses. We are up to just about 800 reported illnesses from children of Vietnam veterans. That is on our website, the birth defects page. 800. Now we're not going to come out and say, oh, you have allergies, so that means it's Agent Orange. We're saying we're making a list about what everyone has, and can we prove that we are more prone? Because Agent Orange, while Vietnam veterans are first generation, we are the second generation. You don't pass on Agent Orange. What you do is you pass on mutated sperm, and that mutates our DNA. We're also tracking the third generation, grandchildren of Vietnam veterans. There are over 100 illnesses in our database. The most reported illness for grandchildren of Vietnam veterans is autism. What is also happening in third generation are the same illnesses that Vietnam veterans have from Agent Orange. We're talking about the ischemic heart disease, we're talking about the neuropathies, we're talking about the diabetes. They are coming up more in the third generation, like they're skipping generations. So you have all of these hundreds and hundreds of reported illnesses in the second gen, and every time we get someone in our new group, we have several support groups, we have them edit a list also for their children. And you have to realize that in Vietnam, they're already into their fourth generation. So also January 2012, we managed to get to the IOM to give testimony. Our packet is on the front page of our website, and you know, the biannual update will probably be out in another year and a half. I'm not going to hold my breath and think that, you know, we made some terrible, you know, impact on them that's just going to say, okay, everything's going to change. But the one thing that we are fighting for the most currently is seeing that those 18 plus birth defects approved for children of female Vietnam veterans, at least we can get them approved for children of male Vietnam veterans. Not sure if any of you are familiar with March Against Monsanto. A little less than a year ago, it became a global phenomenon. In May, I think 500 cities around the world convened to march against Monsanto. And as Bob said when he introduced me, I spoke at the Philadelphia event. We are now preparing for the next march, which is on October 12th, representative for Food Day, which is actually October 14th, the 31st year of my father's death. I also am the lead educator for Agent Orange for March Against Monsanto. What I have been able to do is contact all of the organizers and have them request Agent Orange speakers. So the last 2 weeks we opened it to the children of Vietnam veterans. This is unprecedented. We are giving the children of Vietnam veterans across the globe to speak at a March Against Monsanto event about Agent Orange. Tomorrow, I will be opening it up to Vietnam veterans and to wives and widows of Vietnam veterans. We still have probably 6 or 7 cities that need speakers. Lancaster, PA is one of them. We also have a speaker request for Princeton, New Jersey. I'll be speaking in Philadelphia again. We have one of our associates speaking in San Diego. We have one of our speakers in St. Louis, and St. Louis is the Monsanto headquarters, so it's huge. And for us to be able to partner together and do this, again, is unprecedented. So, you know, I don't know how much time I have left, probably none, but what I have here, flyers, take them to the VA hospitals, hang them up, they're the bright orange ones. What those white ones are is our basic outline for a plan to petition the American Medical Association. You go to the doctor, you fill out the form, do you smoke, did your father have a heart attack, blah, 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 blah. Well, we want on those forms, are you the child of a Vietnam veteran? Do you have Agent Orange exposure in your family? And what we have provided is a letter that I worked with on my own doctors for children of Vietnam veterans to take to their practitioners. We get looked at like we are insane when we say, I'm sick with this, 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 and this, and my father served and was exposed to Agent Orange. The doctors have no idea what, it's not that they don't have an idea what Agent Orange is, it's just that they're not educated on it. If you say dioxin, they understand that a little bit better. So again, doctor's notes, flyers, my business cards are up there. I also want to say welcome home to everyone, Vietnam vets, whatever war you served in. I appreciate your service. We are not against the warrior. We are against the wars. They kill. And, you know, you do what is necessary. My father was a hero. All our fathers were heroes, and I consider that a blessing. I just wish I had them. And I also just want to say, if I may, a moment of silence for tomorrow being September 11th. Too many 7-year-olds lost their father tomorrow. And I would never want another 7-year-old child or any child to feel the way I did my entire life. So, thanks.
Kelly, do we have any information as far as how many people in Vietnam have been affected by this?
We're looking at numbers in the hundreds of thousands. Let me just give you a quick idea that 18 to 20 million gallons of Agent Orange was dispersed over Vietnam in a 10-year period. 18 to 20 million gallons of Agent Orange is equivalent to 400,000 bathtubs in your home. That's the equivalent. So after the meeting, I'll stick around for questions.
One other thing, I was over there in 65, 66. I was fortunate, I was on a USS Enterprise, so I stayed close to Mother, but I was kind of taken back when they said that people who were on ships could also qualify for Agent Orange because it blew out to sea. Not that I've seen anything of it, but I thought, you know, for as long as these vets were fighting, trying to get some sort of coverage, and then they turn around and say, well, we'll cover the guys who were on ships. You know, it's kind of, to me, it was almost going overboard. But.
Well, the difference is that we do work with Blue Water Navy for awareness on that because they were actually handling the Agent Orange, because what you were doing was you were picking it up from ship to shore, you know, the people who came to pick it up. And when you're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean or in the middle of the jungle, people like my father included, they were having water fights with Agent Orange. They were taking the empty barrels and making barbecues with them. They were storing their personal items with them. So, you know, I'm the first person to say, I believe that if a Blue Water Navy veteran was exposed, they deserve the same support, rights, and services as any other veteran. And there has been a lot of heated debate the last 2 years, and there are 2 pieces of legislation currently that are supporting Blue Water Navy veterans. I just want to say that, you know, they did their time too. And if they were exposed, you know, they deserve equal benefits.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.